This is Fred Beck from Fred Dogs Fighting. As you can tell, it's quite a loud background today. We're at Mams Taylor's house in Nashville. I'm joined by BJ Flores. This is kind of the last place I thought I'd ever see you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Life's full of surprises, I guess, so here we are.
Yeah, certainly. Do you like Nashville?
I love Nashville. One of my best friends, Steven, lives out here, so coming out here quite a bit. I will be in the future, and it's this beautiful country. Obviously, the show on Saturday night was a great turnout. Everything went well, and we'll see.
It's warm. It's very, very warm, as a Brit, I kind of struggle with a little.
Yeah, I'm used to it. I'm originally from Missouri, so I'm used to it.
Well, how warm is it in Missouri?
Missouri, I mean, it's very humid. It's a very similar temperature to like out here, so it's I'm used to it. No problem.
Okay, that sounds pretty good then. What are your overall thoughts then? We'll just go straight into it. Your overall thoughts on the Misfits 008 show as a kind of outsider.
I think it was a good show. I haven't really watched or paid too much attention before. I think there's some good talent up and coming, and I think that was, kind of like what I talked about was my main purpose. I wanted to be involved with the council because, protecting the fighters, coming up with rankings and coming up with good matchups, and kind of leaving everything else out of it, and just like being an experienced voice that has been around boxing for almost 40 years now, and using my input to make sure I can help the next generation of boxers coming up.
It's fair to say that you come from the hardcore boxing background, and slowly you're easing your way into the kind of influencer crossover boxing side of things. Well, as an outsider and as a hardcore boxing fan, what do you make of the main event, the Survivor Tag match?
It's nothing like I've seen before, so it was definitely a lot of moving parts. It was kind of hard to score. I was actually a judge in that fight. They asked me to judge, and I wanted to be a part of it and help out how I could and make sure the right guy won. And I feel like the right guy did win. There's a lot of good action, a lot of good exchanges, but I feel like Nick did what he had to do to get the win, and he landed more clean punches. He just as a professional judge, he did a lot of things I liked. Swarms was very busy. He was very active, but needs to work on his accuracy a little bit in closing that distance. And the other two were very game, but just not able to compete with the top two. So I feel like the right guy won. It was entertaining, and we'll see what happens in the future.
And then the second one down, you said the top two. The second one was Swarms.
Yeah, Swarms, he had a good performance. I just think that we're kind of tweaking some things, and we're going to figure out how to make that Survivor matchup a little more versatile, where different boxers are against different boxers. I feel like it kind of pitted in like two boxers against the same time. They tagged. It just kind of switched. It was kind of like we saw the same two guys going against each other, and then when they tagged, the other two guys would go in. So we're going to work on that. We're going to figure something out, but it was definitely an interesting concept.
Certainly. It's a concept that can be kind of evolved and changed over time. One thing I think they'll move is to 6 rounds, or hang at 4, because it gives each fighter more time to put the work in. But just now, as I walked downstairs, I walked onto the first ever council meeting, the Misfits Council meeting. How would you say it went?
I think it's good. I think having all those minds together with, Gordy and Leon.
Georgie. True Georgie.
Sorry to say that wrong.
He's going to watch us as well.
Yeah, it's all right. Sorry. And obviously, bringing all those minds together and having an open discussion and kind of like an open format and everybody talking, and everyone's got different opinions and everybody sees it from a different viewpoint. And I think that's good. That shows this scene is moving in the right direction, where it's not all just, certain people on one side against, certain people on another side. Everyone's kind of, talking openly and discussing, and, everyone wants to see this sport of influencer boxing go in the right direction. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Certainly, yeah. It's quite interesting because you got about 5 different personalities on it. Yeah. Mams is very different to Leon. You're very different to True Geordie. So it's good you got 5 different people from 5 different aspects to give their thoughts and opinions. So I think it works quite well. The last time I saw you was Saudi Arabia back in February. Yeah. So, for Jake Paul, are you still involved in that camp, or are you taking a step away?
So, I got shot a few months ago, and, after the last fight, Jake wanted to make some changes, and he wanted to do some things differently. And he's training now. He's in great shape. I'm hearing from the camp. He's ready to go. He's ready to rock and roll. August 5th, on DAZN, check it out. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. I'm looking forward to it. I'll always be a massive fan of Jake. He's, he was a big part of my life over the last 4 years. I'm very proud of him. He's done a hell of a job, and I wish him the best, and I hope he just goes out there and does what I know he can do August 5th, because he's a very tough young man, and people will see that against Nate Diaz. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the event, to the matchup. Everybody go check it out, and I'm really excited for him to go out there and beat a big name like Nate Diaz, because look, Jake's got a lot in the bag that people haven't seen yet, and it's going to come out. So I can't wait.
Do you think people, after the footage came out of Nate Diaz's sparring footage, him hitting pads, do you think people are kind of undermining Nate Diaz now?
I don't think Nate Diaz was ever a guy that you watch hit the pads or watch train and be like, oh, he's so explosive or he's so dangerous. But he's got this intangible. He's got this ring or this cage IQ that's very, very high. He's been around it his entire life. And the people I know that are close to his camp say, look, this guy's cardio and his ability to go distance and go deep and take his opponents into deep waters is unlike anybody else. So, that's definitely something Jake's got to, look out for. But with that being said, Nate Diaz has never fought anybody even close that hits as hard as Jake. Not even close. Oh, no,
so
no question. No.
Jake Paul hits harder than Conor McGregor.
100%, no question about it. Jake's bigger, he's stronger, he's got better, with the punching, he's got more technique than Conor right now. I think Conor did a hell of a job with Mayweather. He boxed him, he did fantastic, but Jake hits much harder than Conor, no question about it. So that's something Nate's got to watch out for. Jake's got a lot of power, and he's got a lot of ability to go with that power. It's not just power. Okay,
that's quite interesting. Maybe you might see Jake and Conor in the future. Maybe. You got to hope.
Fingers crossed. I mean, that's a fight we talked about for a long time, so, hopefully – the team can get that in the future. But, beating Nate Diaz is a massive name. And, like I said, a lot of my friends are like, oh, Nate Diaz is very dangerous. And he is. And he's a very tough guy. No one's went in there and really dominated Nate Diaz ever. But this is in the boxing ring. And Jake is a lot better than people give him credit for.
Certainly. And if Jake can stop Nate Diaz, that's a huge achievement in itself. Obviously, Nate has only been stopped once, I believe, in his UFC career. But that's way, way back. That'd be a great achievement. But then after Jake Paul, as long as Jake Paul beats Nate Diaz, it should be KSI next. How confident are you in that?
I'm not. I'm just kind of staying in my own lane on that. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. If the Tommy fight is going to happen with KSI, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really speak on those things. I'm not sure. I'm sure Mams would answer that a lot better than me. But I don't know. I think Jake's going to have a lot of opportunities after this fight, and he's going to perform very well, and he's going to look fantastic. And I think Nate's the perfect opponent to bring that out. And I think I know he wants to get Tommy back because Jake's very prideful and wants to avenge that loss. And I'm sure the entire team's on board with that, and they want to get that back for Jake. And I'm sure that's what he'll push for. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Jake because he's a massive draw, a massive name, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities after the Nate Diaz fight.
He's got the world at his fingertips. He can do and kind of go down whatever route he wants to. But earlier you made the statement of Jake Paul hits harder than Conor McGregor. Oh, yeah. Do you reckon he hits harder than KSI?
I don't want to ruffle a bunch of feathers here, but yeah, I mean, look, in my opinion, I've never held pads or seen KSI as much as hours I've seen Jake. And like I said, I mean, Jake's a hard puncher. It's impossible for me to compare that and say who hits harder. Jake's overall technique, boxing IQ from being in camp for so long over the last 4 years, so many different sparring partners, is his boxing IQ has raised incredibly. So I don't think it's so much about the punching power. I think it's more about, Jake's just being constantly in the ring with top pros, training 24/7, having a mindset, having big fights, having big events coming up, him constantly being underdog or close and pick 'em fights. Tyron Woodley the first time, Ben Askren. I mean, the odds were close on those fights. And even Anderson Silva, everyone's like, oh, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva was very dangerous. He beat Julio Cesar Chavez, 8 months, 9 months before that, and beat it. It was a pretty one-sided fight. So, Jake's has consistently been in camp, consistently working, hard worker, very dedicated, never complains, and he's got some talent too.
Certainly, yeah. I think people forget that Anderson Silva beat Chavez Jr. I think that's quite undermined. Yeah, I report on it, and I forgot myself. But then KSI and Tommy, that's meant to happen. It's not officially signed yet, but it's meant to happen. Do you see KSI Tommy going the same way Tommy and Jake did, or do you see it going slightly different?
I mean, look, I think KSI is underestimating Tommy. Tommy's very good, and especially depending on what the weight is at, it's going to be a very tough for KSI to go from, Joe Fournier and FaZe to or those kind of guys, or Temper to go from those kind of guys to Tommy. This is a different challenge, and a lot of respect for KSI if he fights Tommy next because. I mean, that's a big step up. He's never been in those middle rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, in with a real opponent like Tommy, and it's a massive step. So, if that fight happens, I mean, I favor Tommy, I do, and it is what it is. I mean, I think it's a good fight. KSI's got power, but I think Tommy's is too slick and he's got too much stuff for him. But massive credit to JJ if he takes the fight, and hey, we got to see what happens.
Certainly. Now, the last time I saw you was Saudi Arabia. I bumped into you on fight day in Nashville with Jake Bostwick. Jake. Check him over here. So this is Jake Bostwick. Jake is an OG on the channel. I interviewed Jake About a year and a half ago, you come in the middle. You come in the middle here, Jake.
Here we go.
I was move the camera a little bit. So for people who don't know you yet in the scene, I guess the hardcore world, the influence boxing world won't know you.
Yep.
How would you describe yourself and where you come from?
I'm from South East London. I've been, competed, had 30 MMA fights and kickboxing fights. I transitioned now obviously to the bare knuckle, and I've been tearing stuff over there. And yeah, man, just trying to make some noise right now.
And you signed down to Bare Knuckle FC, or are you free to go where you want?
I'm free to do what I like. As of right now, I'm a complete free agent, so we're just looking for good fights, good opportunities. Obviously being advised now by BJ, so it's awesome to be working together as a team, and yeah, looking for some work, mate.
So the only chance, I guess, that the influence boxing world will know you is from when you got a shout out on Impulsive for rocking Jake Paul back in sparring a few years ago.
Yeah, obviously BJ was there for that. Obviously he brought me in for sparring. I had some great rounds with Jake, obviously, as you know. I've been sparring with Jake, obviously, for the Ben Askren fight, and then obviously again for the Woodley. Was out in Puerto Rico for that for a few weeks. Obviously flew over to Ohio for the fight. Absolutely amazing experience. But yeah, so I've been working with some big names.
And for you, I guess Misfits is next then, after you being here in the house.
Yeah, no, I'd love that, mate. I heard that, there's hopefully a tournament or something coming up. So, hopefully my name's going to be in the mix. And yeah, mate, try and make some noise.
I guess this question for you, BJ. Do you reckon Jake will be in the pro tournament, or do you reckon he'll have a fight on Misfits to get his name out there before and then be in the pro tournament?
Yeah, I think the pro tournament is the only thing that makes sense. Jake's got too much experience to fight influencers. He's been, fighting too long and got way too much experience. But look, there's a lot of names out there. Michael Venom Page, Mike Perry, Chris Avila, all these different guys that could potentially come over, and I think Jake fits in nicely with those names. So it's an opportunity for him. He's young, he's hungry, he's willing to prove himself, and that's all you can ask for. So we're gonna put him in and let the chips fall.
Mike Perry, that'd be a good fight. Kind of classic American versus a classic British guy. Both trash talkers. That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, no, great. Absolutely amazing matchup. Obviously, I was trying to get him to fight bare knuckle originally. The fight obviously never really occurred. But obviously now we can put some gloves on or something. At the end of the day, people would love to see that. If anyone knows me and knows how I fight, I'm always game. Go out on my shield. Never in a boring fight. Never been booed in my life. Had over 50 professional fights. I'm excited. I'm coming to take your head off, and yeah, I'm going to definitely be bringing some noise.
I got something on that too. Mike Perry was a sparring partner of Jake's as well. Jake was a sparring partner. Mike is a very, very tough-minded individual. I get along very well with Mike. I really like him. I love what he's done. He's reinvented himself with the bare knuckle, and you got to take your hat off to people like that who go out, get a second chance, and go out. And he's really done well with the BKFC. So Mike's a massive name, somebody we would love to be involved with in the future, and he's a very, very tough fighter.
And you'll be fighting at 170, 180? Is that whereabouts?
I believe, but 175, I think that's a weight class.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect for me, obviously. Yeah, that's money, mate. Yeah, great weight class for me. I'm dangerous at that weight, mate.
Because it's funny, in normal boxing, there's not as much money at 170, but in the whole Misfits world, that's most common weight, 170. So you've got the most money at 170, so it works out quite perfectly. But you've got those names, Mike Perry. I guess you had Eddie Alvarez and Chad Mendes, who fought recently as well, didn't you? Yeah. That's when Conor was in the ring after, wasn't it?
Yeah. Conor come into the ring. That was I can't remember where that event was. Denver. It was in Denver. Yeah, Denver. Yeah, it was great. Really.
Were you there?
I wasn't there, no, but I was watching the show. Great entertainment, great publicity. Conor were going to be in there. Bunch of names, bunch of actors, bunch of fighters. Yeah, no, it was a great event. That was.
So when do you think we'll see you, Misfits-wise? Do you think before the end of the year? That's likely.
100% before the end of the year. You'll definitely be seeing my face. Perfect. For sure, mate.
I hope September, October, and then obviously whenever the tournament comes about, Jake will be in that. We got confirmation on that already, so that's something very exciting we're looking forward to. But I'd like to get him in July now. I'd like September, October, and then we're ready for December, sharpened up.
And obviously, I guess there might be one more American show, but the majority of the Misfits shows will be in the UK for the rest of the year. That's perfect, because you are from the UK originally, even though you live in Miami now.
Yeah, I'm a Miami cat, but obviously, South London, I'm proud of,
Got big fans over there, fan base.
I've been fighting for 17 years now, so obviously I started my whole career in...
So when I was 2 years old, you started fighting?
Oh, there you go, you was actually...
That's a long time.
Damn, son. So very, very long time, fighting everywhere all over the UK. That's how I had like 30 odd MMA fights. 30 other separate fights, like MMA fights, kickboxing fights, or whatever, just in the UK alone. Obviously, without branching out, fighting on other bigger events, obviously around the world. But yeah, the UK fan base, that's what it's about.
Perfect. And then for you, BJ, anything come up for yourself outside of fighting? Anything? What I do want to ask you about, you mentioned earlier, you got shot.
Yeah, I did.
What was that about?
Yeah, it was an armed robbery attempt in Colombia. Thank goodness I'm still alive. Very grateful to be here. Kind of like a a second birthday kind of because you know, the nurses in the hospital are like, normally when people get shot, we don't get a chance to see them in the emergency room getting an operation. They're dead. And so I'm very grateful. Everything worked out. I was supposed to work out. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be doing in my leg. Yeah, but the gun was originally when they came to do the hijack, the gun was at my head, like for like probably 20. I had a watch on and I had something else. So and I was in a taxi cab and they came right up to me on the passenger side, put the gun right to my head. Give me your watch. I'm like, all right, relax. And he was just pushing the gun against my head so hard. I was like, you know what? I'm a gambler. I was like, I'm gonna take a shot because I don't like the way this is going. I could just like feel the adrenaline, and I was like, oh man. So I'm here and I'm reaching and I pull the gun down and the bullet goes into my leg instead of right here.
If it had been right here, we would not have been here today.
Yeah, I think we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So luckily it worked out. All is well. I'm here doing what I'm supposed to do, and very excited to be here.
I take it you don't have a story like that.
I haven't been shot. I got other stories, but yeah, we save them for another time. But yeah, now, as of me right now, I'm behaving myself. I'm a good boy. Just being an athlete, mate, ready to kick ass.
And then social media wise, where can people find you?
Obviously, my Instagram, Brutal Bostwick. Everything's Brutal Bostwick. Twitter, Facebook. J Brutal Bostwick, man. You can find me.
You need to get a YouTube started. So he's on Misfits.
I know,
you just have like a videographer following around on fight week and fight night to record all the stuff. Like a fight night vlog or something. Yeah,
so I've been speaking to a few people already as it is. I know I need to be doing a little bit more stuff like that on the YouTube side of things so people can see a bit more about me and what I actually get up to in my everyday life. I think it'd be interesting for people to kind of know more about my story. So my upbringing from here to here, you know, where I'm at now from where I was, it's been crazy, mate. Being a proper.
The documentary will be good.
My documentary is going to be amazing, son. You'll hear it one day for sure.
And then for you, BJ, where can people find you social media wise?
You can find me at the Juggernaut. That's my boy right there, Lorenzo Hunt. He's a guy I'm also looking out for and advising and managing. Lorenzo Hunt, the Juggernaut. Follow him. BKFC world champion at 185, 285, 205, one of the most explosive punchers in the game. Very dangerous. Will fight anybody at any time, any place. He does not care. There's something else we're talking about. And brutal Jake Bostwick, two guys I'm working with. My social media is BJ Flores Pro. But I'm not really too focused on mine. Let's talk about my guys. Let's get them the right opportunities, and that'll all take care of itself.
Cheers, guys. That's great.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Love.